Loony dude at the gym. My background: military, moved here 2 years ago. So, I've been going to the local 24-hour fitness ever since I got stationed here. For these 2 years, I've seen this guy Brand that seemed pretty cool. I played one-on-one basketball with him. He's told me about his crazy ex-wife, blah blah blah. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, so normal to me that I invited him over on July 3rd to have some food with my family. Again, nothing out of the ordinary. Last Friday, I'm playing basketball with my wife. This is a tradition we have after every workout. While Bran comes up from my right side and smacks the ball right out of my hand. He has done this before, so I didn't think much about it, but today seemed different. He seemed more aggressive. He apologizes for interrupting our game and goes to play ball on the other side of the court. I get to my car and there are 4 text messages from him. "What's your problem, homie? You at the gym? You can't fuck up what's already fucked up. No big deal, I'll catch up with you." The thing is, he sent me these text messages 30 minutes before I saw him in the gym, so I respond with, "What are you talking about?" No reply. Then, the next day at 7 a.m., he texted me and my wife's coworker Trey, who also goes to the gym, so a group chat, which is as follows. Video link to the song Future. Mask off. "Steal from me too, motherfucker. Motherfucking faggots want my attention, now they got it." Video link to the song Eminem, Go to Sleep. The lyrics though, word for word, I'm obsessed now. So my buddy Trey and I are confused. I texted Trey to ask what the hell the dude is talking about. My buddy Trey texted back in the group chat, "What are you talking about, bro?" So, 5 hours later, the dude replies with, "I forgot. My thoughts are sporadic like an addict. Oh, now I remember. I love you, man. For real. Thursday night around 8:30, this cat got my keys and water out of my gym bag and stole $1,000 and a pistol from my car. Gym released video to police, but nobody knows what his name is. I thought I've seen him with Trey, but I don't know Trey's last name. I just gave the cops Trey's first name and phone number. So if you get a call, you know what it's about. They're just trying to identify him, so it don't happen to someone else. They didn't see him getting in my car, just into my gym bag, into my gym, then putting my water back 5 minutes later. It's strange he stole my water. Cops are scratching their head. So I filed a police report for $1,000 and a missing pistol and a half-gallon of reverse osmosis water. Shaking my head, can't have shit. You think you are friends until the cops come asking questions. You gotta see how many friends you have. They all snitch because why? Save their own ass. Lamau. I'm one, see you Monday night at 6. So at this point, I start putting shit together. He was aggressive at the gym and texting me because he thinks I took his shit. I texted him back saying if I could help in any way I would, and he said thanks bro. I then called him because I wanted to clear my name and Trey's name, but 20 seconds into the conversation, I could tell the dude was not right in the head. On the phone, he said he got his cocaine, money, and gun stolen out of his gym bag. He said that he knows I, Trey, and my wife plotted against him to rob him. He says I invited him over to plot against him. He said I made a big mistake by inviting him over and showing him where I live. I asked what that meant exactly, and he said, "I got guns. If the cops don't handle this, I'll handle this." I said, "Are you going to try to hurt my family?" And he said he knew where I lived. I explained to him that I am in the military and that I don't get involved in illegal shit like that, and neither does my wife or Trey, who are also in the military. We have clearances. He says, "I know you did it." He mentioned that he was a diagnosed schizophrenic who was always high on drugs, that people know not to fuck with him. He said the gym won't release the footage to him, only the cops. At that point, I ended the conversation because I knew I could not reason with someone who is unreasonable. It also occurred to me that if the gym didn't release the footage to him, he has no idea who took his stuff and is just assuming. So I called Trey immediately and let him know to watch his back at the gym, that this dude is a nut job and he thinks we plotted against him. Paranoid loony. Yesterday around 9:04 p.m. I got a text from him again. Are you and your bitch going out tonight? I'm buying drinks all night. So I replied with, that's my wife, not my bitch. Have a good night. And then he replied, she a fucking hoe. Are you mad? I bet she gives good sloppy head, am I right? At this point, I'm shaking because I'm so mad at this guy for saying these things about my wife, but I did not reply. Then about 30 minutes later, he sent me video link to Mariah Carey, obsessed. I did not reply. Now, I am at a friend's house watching last night's UFC match. As soon as I get home, I call the local police to have an officer sent to my house. I explain all of this stuff to the officer, and the officer advised to not go to that gym anymore and to not engage with this individual. He asked if I have a weapon at home, and I said I do, and he said, good. You have the right to defend yourself. I also have a huge German Shepherd. So today at 2:53 p.m., he sends a group text again to me and T. Meme of O.J. Simpson smiling with a caption, when you know you did it but they couldn't find you guilty. I guess John, me, and I aren't friends anymore. Got all sensitive over a hoe. Done went off on us, shaking my head. I guess this means next time I see you we are throwing hands? Fighting, I guess. Or are you cool with me calling your bitch a hoe? I loved you, John. Opinions on fags or buys in the military. Line 'em up like Columbine. See if I get away with it now. Just so you two know, I'm far from confused or forgetful. Love you, bros. I owe you one. Or should I say 5? I feel like I should pay you for the mollies, or bath salts, or hook me up with. Just let me know how much. My bank account is the only thing overdosing over here. While he was sending that string of texts, me, my wife, and Trey were at the gym canceling our memberships for fear of our lives. The gym also stated that they would suspend Brand's membership. I'm not gonna block the guy's number because I want any evidence I can use against him in the event that something happens to my vehicle, my house, or my family. Also, if you notice at the end of the last string of texts, he's implying that we now sold him drugs. I've turned on my motion detector to record when I am not alone. I have shown my wife how to arm and use my weapon. I am glad that me and my wife are moving to Germany soon, but it's not soon enough. I fear for the safety of my wife when I'm not at home. I am not going to engage the guy because I don't want to give him any more ammo for the crazy scenario in his head. Honestly, at this point, I'm not even sure if anything was stolen from him. I don't really hang out with civilians for the lifestyle differences, and the one time I did, look what happened. Now, I'm not saying civilians are bad at all, but I carry caution even higher than before. Anyways, thanks for reading, stay safe, and keep to yourself at the gym. Update, 9 p.m. The guy just found me on Facebook. Now I have his last name. I sent the Facebook post to the police officer I spoke with earlier, along with a Facebook profile picture. The guy Brand sent me a message also that said, hey handsome, cute picture, you should be a model. I blocked him and had my wife block him. He now knows our last names. What's next? Update 10 p.m. Looks at pic of local apartments on Google. Pretty easy to find where he lives, about 15 minutes down the highway from me. I got enough info on him now that, if something happens, I can notify the authorities of his approximate location. Don't go to the basketball court late at night. Hey guys, this is my first Reddit post. I've been lurking in the subreddit for a while now, and wanted to share some of my scary experiences. This certain experience happened when I was in 6th or 7th grade. I was at my friend's house for his birthday party with at least 8 or 9 kids from my grade. Keep in mind that, at the time, we lived in an okayish neighborhood in New York City, but there were still some crazies out and about, but that's another story for another time. My friend lived in a gated community inside our okayish neighborhood, so we were relatively safe. We were just chilling in his living room, planning on watching Paranormal Activity 4, when a couple of our friends had the bright idea of going to the basketball court at like 8:30 at night. So, We started walking towards what would be the weirdest night of our lives. I always had anxiety issues ever since I was a little kid. I was recently just diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, so this fueled my anxiety into overdrive. We walked to the gates of the court. Turns out my friend forgot his gated community ID thingy. Basically, everyone who lived in it had one to access certain parts of the community, so he climbed over the gate and unlocked it for us. It got really dark outside, and I was having a little bit of anxiety over it, but nothing too bad. We were just playing basketball when all of a sudden, a 50 to 60-year-old white man in a white classic kidnapper van pulls into the parking lot in front of the gates of the court and stays there, watching us. We all were 11 to 12 at the time, and the neighborhood wasn't that bad, but wasn't exactly the epitome of beauty and grace, so we were a bit leery of anyone passing by to begin with. We think nothing of it, but my anxiety went from 10 to 100 real quick. When I got anxious, I jumped into worst-case panicky mode, so I stayed calm for the sake of my friends. But after a while, the man would not leave. He sat there watching us for about 20 minutes or so, until I couldn't take it anymore. I told my friend that I was getting uncomfortable, and she told me she was too. We went up to our other friends, the man still watching us, and told them that we wanted to leave. We made a plan to walk slowly, then hightail it out of there, because my other friends started to notice him and were getting nervous as well. We all ran out of there, but two of our friends hid behind a bush to see what the man will do. We were almost at my friend's house when the two who stayed called us, saying the man got out of the car and that he was looking in the trunk for tools. We all ran faster and eventually got to my friend's house safely. It was pretty creepy considering the circumstances, the time, and the neighborhood. So, man in the white van at the basketball court, let's not meet. Ever. Behind a tree he waited. Okay, so my brother and I, he was 14 years of age and I was 16 at the time, would occasionally head over to the park nearby our house to play some basketball. So that day, we played to up until around 10 p.m. at night, I'd say. We were exhausted and ready to head home. We walked past the recreation center and the playground. Subsequently, we had to walk through this area of the park that was desolate and void of any park lamps. But we did not mind, since we'd passed through that area plenty of times before. So, while we were walking through the area, I managed to see from the corner of my eye some guy in a dark gray hoodie. I decided to pay him no attention. He just seemed like some stranger getting from point A to point B. At least that's what I thought, because next thing I know, I see that as he's about to pass one large tree, I hear his footsteps stop. So I turn around, and I see that he didn't come out of the other side of the tree. I flipped. He was obviously behind the tree. So I put my hand in front of my younger brother to make sure I wasn't going insane. I asked him, "Did you see that?" He reassured me with a nod. We were both startled and freaking the heck out, start backing away slowly. But we continued to attentively scan the area where the tree was because it was pitch black outside, and we had no clue where the man was. After backing up for like 5 seconds, we see the guy poke his head out slyly to check if we had gone on, I assume. We froze for a good 5 seconds. By that time, he had quickly tucked his head behind the tree again. We ran, I'm telling you. I've never ran so fast in my life. It was like those times when you turn off the lights from downstairs and run upstairs with this gnawing feeling that someone is behind you. That's exactly what it felt like. We hurled towards the basketball courts, and were relieved to see our friends still there. When we got there, panting and all, we chilled there for a good few seconds and explained to the friends what happened. A group of us built the courage to check out from a safe distance if anyone was still behind the tree, but the man was nowhere to be found. Anyways, I always get the chills when I remember that man poking his head out. He actually thought he fooled us with that blatant stomp behind the tree. I also wonder why I freaked out so much. I mean, I'm 6 feet tall and heavy built, but who knows? I guess I've always been inclined for the flight over the fight. I always wonder what would have happened if we had waited him out. I would have liked to see him weave himself out of that situation. You fucking little shit. So, I decided to share 2 encounters after lurking for a bit. One of them is something I was involved with personally, and the far creepier story is one from my father. I will share my story first and my dad's later. So, I live in a town with about 300 people in northern Idaho, and when I say everybody knows everybody, it's not a way of saying I know a majority of the people around town. I could literally name everybody in this town. This is relevant down the line. Also, influential to the story is the only thing that is even slightly relevant in my town is the lumber mill, which sometimes attracts people from out of town, mainly truck drivers waiting to be processed or unloaded. I am a 17-year-old male, and this night started a week after we got let out for summer vacation, and I was working the closing shift at Taco Bell in a town about a 20 minutes drive away. It was about 12:30 a.m., and I wasn't as tired as I was heading home from my shift, and decided to go play some basketball at a local hoop. I did this 2 to 3 times a week for about 2 months, mainly on the weekends. This basketball court is behind a community center, and the community center has a light on the back of the building, and this provides me with barely enough light to mess around. And I must emphasize how poorly lit this basketball court is. I literally can't see the hoop that I'm shooting at. About a half hour goes by, and it's lingering around 1 a.m. I was practicing on 3-throw shooting, and I suddenly hear the shuffling of footsteps behind me, and this instantly has me on friggin' red alert. No one should be here. I look around, and I don't see anyone, and I'm freaked out. They could be anywhere around me. I frantically go over to the hoop and scramble for my car keys that I placed under the hoop. Then he calls for me. He simply says, "I didn't know they had a basketball hoop here," which makes me instantly think this man isn't from around here, and this isn't where he belongs. What the heck is he doing here? I awkwardly reply, trying to make clear I want no conversations with him. He keeps moving forwards closer and closer, with every footstep making me want to curl up and die. He gets within 10 feet of me, and the only thing keeping me from running is I haven't been able to get my car keys yet. At this point, I walked in the lone light source, and I could see him not clearly but partially enough to know I never met this man, and he stood about 6'4" to 6'6", easily 250 pounds at least. I'm about 6'1", 150 pounds, and I've never been in any sort of physical confrontation. He then said, "I used to play a little when I was a kid," and he somewhat emphasized the word kid, and I didn't reply this time, but he kept moving forward, and for every step he took forward, I would take 2 steps back, until I was basically against the wall of the community center. He then goes, "Why are you backing up?" What the heck? Why am I backing up? You friggin' stranger talking to me at 1 a.m. and you creepy as shit. But all I muster to say is, "Dude, please stop." He then takes another step forward. At this moment, I balked. I never made a conscious decision to run. I just did it. My house is about a 3-minute full sprint away. Now keep in mind, I live in rural North Idaho. I run to a section of industrial-sized dumpsters about 30 seconds away that have a large section of dense pine trees behind them. And I hear him calling after me, "You fucking little shit! You don't fucking know what's good for you." After about 45 seconds of dashing through these trees, hearing him still behind me, I come to the end of the trees, and am now at the end of a back road that leads to a highway. I refuse to look back. I can still hear him yelling. I just keep sprinting across the highway and make it home in about another 2 minutes. I never once heard him after I crossed the highway. I got home feeling confident I had lost him, and had to break in through a window since my house key was on the same ring as my car keys. I live with a single mom who is a 911 dispatcher and works from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. I couldn't call the police till the next day since my phone was locked in my car and I don't have any close neighbors. I stayed up the rest of the night convinced he would find my car keys under that hoop and get into my car and get my address and come get me. But eventually 7 a.m. came around and I walked to a neighbor about 10 minutes away and he drove me to the basketball court and we collected my things and I filed a police report that nothing ever came out of. To this day, I still have nightmares of him approaching me and running through those trees and up my road. I never heard anything about him. My guess is he was a truck driver who made deliveries to the mill and thought I was easy pickings for whatever he wanted to do with me. Whether or not he had been watching me and knew I went to that basketball court a lot at night is unknown to me, but I've never been back when it was dark. I'd like to apologize in advance for my poor skills revolving around writing. I haven't had a good English teacher since, well, ever.